Now, one of the myths, and I kind of love this one, kind of cracks me up, is that people with disabilities are too expensive. Well, here's some interesting statistics and facts for you. All right. People with disabilities have a 40% lower absenteeism rate than their counterparts. Companies that hire people with disabilities decrease their accidents by about 40%. And that often is due to accessibility issues. For example, if you have somebody with a walking aid that needs to have clear paths, then you're going to clean up all the clutter in the hallways or in the walkways, okay, and make that safer. And it not only makes it safer for the person with the disability, but for everybody else in the organization. Now, people with disabilities often qualify for different healthcare plans. So another big thing that I've heard is people with disabilities are going to make our healthcare costs go up. Not necessarily true, because like I said, there are different programs for people with disabilities that often they won't buy in to your medical plan because they have something else. Programs such as Medicare, Medicaid, and New Jersey Workability. And what New Jersey Workability is, it's a program that incentivizes going to work for people with disabilities, where you can work and make up to, I think it's about 67 grand now a year, and receive Medicaid. Accommodations, this is a big, scary one, okay? Because very often when employers hear accommodations, what do they hear? They hear cha-ching, cha-ching, but the truth of the matter is 59% of accommodations don't cost anything. Again, I'll give you some examples. In my life, when I start someplace new, some of the accommodations that I need or have needed in the past is a place close by my office or cubicle to park my scooter. Maybe I need an extra trash can or an extra chair, something to put my crutches against to hold them up. They are some very simple things. Now, it's also important to know that just because somebody has a disability doesn't mean they require an accommodation. As a matter of fact, the majority of people with disabilities do not require accommodations at all. And 41% of accommodations average around $500. Okay, so that's not a big chunk of change. Now, for accommodations that are big ticket items, there are resources and programs that can help with the cost and even possibly help you figure out different ways to make the accommodation. And some of that will be coming up in later slides, or is in the back slides of this presentation that I won't necessarily show, but they are there for you to print and to have for reference. Now, people with disabilities increase workflow. How is that possible? Well, because very often people with disabilities serve as an inspiration to people around them. Now, you have to be very careful here. This is a tricky concept in the world of disability and the culture, because there are kind of two sides to thinking, okay? There are people that say, I don't want to be an inspiration. Why? I inspire you because I have a disability? No, because I'm just like everybody else. I want to, be seen as anybody else would be seen doing normal things. And then there's the other train of thought, okay, which is kind of the train of thought that I go with, is that we don't set out to be an inspiration. I certainly don't set out to inspire people just from being me. That would be kind of conceited. But it happens. And I'll be honest, I don't always get it because I'm dealing with something here that I'm very used to, and so I've learned to live my life despite the obstacles. And very often people will see that inspirational. And you know what? That's great. I'm honored. And if it helps somebody do great things, then awesome, But a few other ways that people with disabilities can be inspirational is that they can inspire innovation, help people come up with new ideas. For example, I don't know if you've seen the Nike Fly Ease shoes. The shoe has a joint in it that bends in half. And it came about from a kid who wrote Nike, who said, I need shoes I can put on myself that I don't have to use my hands for or bend down for. So they came up with a shoe that has a joint in it that bends. You slip your toes in and you put a little pressure in the middle, you step on the front, and the back comes up. That's how Nike Fly Ease works. That's an example of an inspiration for innovation. Now, sometimes people with disabilities also inspire others to work harder or work smarter. Sometimes people see our situations and things we have to work through, and they say to themselves, well, geez, look at them. They're working their butt off despite everything else. And if they can do it, I can do it. Or sometimes new ideas will come about as to how to work more efficiently to maybe save some energy or maybe make the process more accessible or whatever it is. We also can foster out-of-the-box thinking because we're always having to think creatively and untraditionally about solving problems. And there can be some interesting ideas that come out of that. And like I said earlier, sometimes we can inspire others just through our situations, what we've accomplished in our lives, and what we've overcome.